On Sunday, February 22, 2026, the Northeast braced itself for what would become one of the most unforgettable storms in recent memory. The day began with an uneasy stillness, as if the entire region was holding its breath, waiting for something monumental to unfold. An eerie calm swept across cities and towns, the usual bustle replaced by a strange, almost haunting quiet. Streets that would normally be filled with morning commuters and children playing were deserted, blanketed in anticipation. Forecasters warned of a monster storm, no ordinary winter event, but a blizzard of historic proportions. Meteorologists tracked its every move, their voices urgent as they described the rapidly intensifying system barreling toward the coast. Across the region, people scrambled for supplies, bracing for what was coming. Grocery stores were packed, shelves emptied of essentials like bread, milk, batteries, and bottled water. The sense of urgency was palpable, as neighbors checked in on each other and families made last-minute preparations. The sky darkened ominously, and the first flakes began to fall, gentle at first, swirling softly in the wind, then quickly intensifying into a relentless barrage. Within hours, the landscape was transformed, the world outside fading into a blur of white. By nightfall, the storm exploded into a bomb cyclone, unleashing blinding snow and hurricane-force winds. The howling gusts rattled windows and battered buildings, making it nearly impossible to see or hear anything beyond the storm's fury. States of emergency were declared across multiple states, and travel bans were swiftly enforced. Emergency vehicles struggled through the blizzard, but for many, it was already too late to leave. Roads became impassable in minutes, trapping countless residents in their homes. Outside, a whiteout raged, visibility near zero, as snow and wind battered homes and cities. The relentless storm isolated neighborhoods, cutting off communities from the outside world. Snowplows struggled against mounting drifts, their headlights barely piercing the swirling snow. Cars vanished beneath the snow, driveways and sidewalks disappeared, and the world shrank to the four walls of home. The storm's roar was relentless, punctuated by the crack of breaking branches and the thud of falling ice. Trees bent and snapped under the weight, and the wind drove snow through every crack and crevice. Power flickered, news reports warned of worsening conditions, and families huddled together, hoping the lights would stay on. For many, the only warmth came from blankets and the company of loved ones as they waited out the storm. By Tuesday, the blizzard finally eased, leaving a transformed, treacherous landscape. Streets were icy and nearly unrecognizable, and the aftermath revealed the true scale of the storm's power. Familiar streets disappeared under a silent, endless blanket of white. The city was hushed, as if time itself had paused beneath the snow. The great bomb cyclone of 2026 had arrived, breaking records and creating legends. Headlines declared it one of the most powerful winter storms in decades, and stories of survival and resilience began to emerge. Its impact would be felt for weeks as the Northeast faced the monumental task of digging out, rebuilding, and remembering the storm that changed everything. Bomb cyclone sounds dramatic, and it absolutely lives up to the name. When you hear meteorologists mention this term, they're talking about a weather event that can transform an ordinary winter storm into something truly extraordinary, almost explosive in its intensity. A bomb cyclone describes a storm that rapidly intensifies, almost as if a weather bomb has gone off in the atmosphere. Within just a day, what starts as a typical low-pressure system can morph into a powerhouse, unleashing fierce winds and heavy snow. The science behind this phenomenon is called bombogenesis. This occurs when a storm's central pressure drops by at least 24 millibars in just 24 hours, a dramatic and rare event in meteorology. This rapid pressure drop acts like a vacuum, pulling in air at high speed from surrounding areas. The result? Intensifying winds that can reach hurricane strength, whipping snow and debris across vast distances. Bomb cyclones typically form when frigid dry air from the north collides with warm, moist air from the south, often over the open ocean. This clash of air masses creates the perfect conditions for explosive storm development. In February 2026, Arctic air barreled down from Canada and slammed into warm Atlantic moisture, setting the stage for a meteorological explosion. The energy released was immense, fueling a storm of historic proportions. The storm drew vast amounts of moisture from the ocean, dumping record-breaking snow on coastal communities. Hurricane-force gusts battered shorelines, toppling trees and power lines, and making travel nearly impossible. It's important to remember that bomb cyclones aren't a different type of storm. They're regular storms that strengthen at breakneck speed, catching many people off guard with their sudden ferocity. The real danger comes from how quickly these storms develop. combining heavy precipitation with extreme winds. This can lead to whiteout conditions, widespread damage, and life-threatening situations in a matter of hours. That's what made the 2026 blizzard so historic: record snowfalls, widespread power outages, and paralyzing conditions that brought entire cities to a standstill. Emergency services struggled to keep up as the storm raged on. In the end, it was a perfect storm, literally. A powerful reminder of nature's ability to surprise and overwhelm us with its sheer force. The snow totals from this storm were staggering: feet, not inches, burying entire cities. It was a sight rarely seen in a lifetime. Neighborhoods transformed into Arctic landscapes, familiar streets erased beneath a thick, unbroken layer of white. The relentless snowfall seemed to have no end, piling higher by the hour, until entire communities were rendered unrecognizable. Providence, Rhode Island, was hit hardest, nearly 38 inches, shattering all previous records. Residents woke up to a world where doorways were blocked, cars disappeared under mountains of snow, and the city's infrastructure was pushed to its limits. Emergency services struggled to keep up, and for many, simply stepping outside became a challenge. Whitman, Massachusetts, and Central Islip, New York, each saw over 30 inches, while Newark, New Jersey, recorded its second heaviest snowfall ever. Across the region, towns and cities faced similar fates. Snowfall records toppled, and the sheer volume of snow overwhelmed even the most prepared communities. Streets, cars, and homes vanished beneath drifts taller than people. The weight of the snow-strained roofs snapped trees and made travel impossible for days. Power outages became widespread as heavy snow brought down lines, and the risk of roof collapses forced evacuations in some neighborhoods. Major metropolitan areas across the Northeast were paralyzed, their landscapes redefined by a relentless blanket of white. Cleanup would take days, with plows and loaders working non-stop. City officials coordinated around the clock, but the sheer scale of the storm meant progress was slow, and patience was tested at every turn. For millions, life shrank to the confines of home, surrounded by a winter wonderland that was as dangerous as it was beautiful. Families huddled indoors, watching the snow pile up outside their windows, uncertain when normal life would resume. The storm brought both awe and anxiety, as communities waited for relief. These weren't just numbers, they were a testament to a region brought to its knees. The bomb cyclone delivered Akon Turkey, Enginsi's Dob, then Dokon Serts Shong Outlow, rewriting the record books. The Northeast was buried, and recovery would be monumental. In the aftermath, stories of resilience and neighborly support emerged, but the memory of this historic storm would linger for years to come. While the snow made headlines, it was the wind that turned this storm into a true blizzard. Sustained gusts over 75 mph battered the coast, meeting the criteria for hurricane-force winds. Whiteout conditions swept the region, with snow whipped horizontally, reducing visibility to near zero. Snowdrifts piled up against buildings, blocking roads as fast as plows could clear them. The wind's power snapped tree limbs and downed power lines, plunging neighborhoods into darkness. Exploding transformers lit up the night, each flash marking another area without heat or light. Coastal flooding and beach erosion added to the chaos, as waves crashed over seawalls and flooded roads. The storm surge left permanent scars on the shoreline. The wind was the engine, turning heavy snow into a blinding, dangerous blizzard. For millions, it was a night of chaos, fear, and awe at nature's fury. Heavy snow and hurricane-force winds crippled the Northeast's power grid. By Monday morning, nearly 400,000 customers were in the dark, a number that soared to 650,000 within hours. Blizzard conditions made it too dangerous for utility crews to respond, leaving families to endure the cold without heat or light. Massachusetts was hit hardest, with over 190,000 customers still without power days after the storm. Downed trees and snapped utility poles created a tangled mess, complicating restoration efforts. Utility companies warned that some would be without electricity for days. For those without generators, the cold became life-threatening. The widespread outages highlighted the vulnerability of modern infrastructure. The bomb cyclone's legacy was not just snow, but darkness and hardship for hundreds of thousands. Recovery would be slow, and the cold relentless. The blizzard brought the Northeast to a grinding halt. Highways emptied as travel bans took effect, and the I-95 corridor became a silent ribbon of white. Over 10,000 flights were canceled, paralyzing major airports from Newark to Boston. Amtrak and commuter rail lines shut down, isolating cities and towns. Even local transit systems, ferries and buses stopped running. The region's economy froze as movement ceased. For a place built on constant motion, the stillness was profound. The bomb cyclone pressed pause on daily life, cutting off millions from the outside world. The Northeast was at a standstill, waiting for the storm to pass. The storm's impact went beyond travel. Daily routines vanished. Schools closed from Virginia to Maine, sometimes for days, as safety took priority. Parents juggled work and childcare, while children enjoyed unexpected snow days. Even the U.S. government paused, with Congress postponing votes. In Washington, D.C. state and local offices, courthouses, and businesses shut down, and trash collection was suspended. Mayors and governors declared emergencies, focusing all efforts on public safety. Commerce ground to a halt. With malls and restaurants shuttered and hourly workers losing wages, city centers became ghost towns buried in snow and silence. The bomb cyclone didn't just dump snow, it pressed pause on society itself. The region waited together for the storm to end. As the snow stopped, a new threat emerged: bitter, Arctic cold. Temperatures stayed below freezing, with many areas struggling to reach even the low 20s. For those still without power, homes became dangerously cold, forcing families to bundle up and seek shelter. The deep freeze made snow removal nearly impossible, turning drifts into frozen walls. Black ice formed on cleared surfaces, creating new hazards. Shelters and warming centers opened for those in need. To make matters worse, another storm was forecast to bring more snow, an unwelcome addition to the already overwhelming cleanup. The cold turned hardship into peril, raising the stakes for recovery. Winter's grip was unrelenting. As the sun returned, recovery began in earnest. Plows and loaders worked non-stop to clear highways and emergency routes, allowing essential services to resume. Neighbors emerged, helping each other dig out cars and clear paths, forging a sense of community in the aftermath. Utility crews from across the country raced to restore power, battling downed lines buried under feet of snow. Each repaired line brought hope and warmth back to darkened neighborhoods. Slowly, trains and buses resumed limited service. Airports reopened, and businesses welcomed customers again. Schools announced reopening dates, and life began to return. Mountains of snow lingered as a reminder of the storm's power. The bomb cyclone of February 2026 tested the Northeast's resilience. Through hard work and cooperation, the region dug out, proving it could weather any storm. The legend of the Great Blizzard would live on for years to come.